Hello and welcome to Cold Reads, episode 25. I am now caught up with the date. That's kind of cool. Anyway, so this is the second podcast of the day, which is great. We are going to finish chapter 17 of Stonebriar Casefiles. This show is brought to you by Resonant Audiobook Solutions. Let's see if I can talk. Let me sip my tea some. We have half of the cast from the earlier episode, and we have Morte back because he didn't really get to talk yesterday, so he's going to be awesome today. So,
Cheers.
Yeah, so why don't we start with you, Maestro Morte, and tell us who you are and what you do.
Indeed, I'm a gothic rocker and composer, and do video game music. I'm very prolific. I like to do strange and outrageous fashion. That's me in a nutshell for now. There's more, but I want to get onto this this awesome project of yours.
Yeah, cool. And Emilie.
Hello. I am with Circus-13 Productions.com, and I'm an insurance administrator during the day and all-around hobbyist of a lot of things.
Awesome. And I'm sorry if you can hear random cat noises in the background. I am now in charge of all of the animals in this house. So there are 2 cats, a dog, and 2 snakes. I know. Why does it have to be snakes? Because I like snakes. Anyway, Papa Spence.
Hi, this is Alan Spencer. I am a sysadmin by day, gamer, and audio drama writer by night, an occasional DM, and occasionally you will also find me either playing in Irish pubs or drinking in Irish pubs. Take your choice.
Yes, and he is the person that I learned all of my skills from. So tonight we are finishing up chapter 17, and so my cast, Maestro Morte, you are going to be playing the parts of Jack and Death. I am excited to hear what you do with them. Emilie, you are going to take over for Tim, and you are going to be Eric. You are also going to be Alina. And I do encourage gender swapping, just because if you are the only voice on an audiobook, you have to do both genders or whatever creatures that you are told to. So, and then Alan, you are going to be playing Goblo again because you're fabulous at Goblo. And you're going to be playing Rickson Amberstone, who is a fairy. He is a mentor. He's got a lot of authority in his voice. So just imagine what it was like when I was 13. Okay?
Go to your room!
Okay. Wait, I am in my room. Okay. Anyway, so without further ado, I'll go ahead and share the document and give you all a synopsis of what has happened so far. So they have the group of the Watch and the collective races of the collected races of the Elderwood have come together and brought all of their blood, all of their efforts, all of their knowledge toward creating this counter curse that is slowly but surely spreading through the Elderwood. And Beatrix has realized that she is the one thing that will meld it all together. Her pixie dust finalized the counter curse to make it actually work. And so now it is a race against time to save Jack Haggerty Jr., the person who has consumed the cursed potion on himself. So now it is time to try and save him from himself. And I will go ahead and get started. Let me go back to the page that it's actually on. There we go. Alina moved forward as the chains grew tighter. Jack opened his mouth, and she poured the potion down his throat for one swallow.
All of it, Alina.
He gasped. She complied, and the potion hurt him just as much as holding the beast back, I think. His body tensed every time he swallowed. When the last drop had been consumed, he was panting. Sweat that looked more like blood covering his body was soaking through his clothes. A mighty roar came forth from the boy's mouth, knocking Alina down. Baltier charged forward, leaping over the girl to stand between her and the creature within Jack. Valina helped her up and pulled her back away from the disturbance. Magic pulsed through the air like a vortex emanating from Jack's body.
No, I will not cease.
I started to move forward, but Eric took my hand between his thumb and forefinger.
Trix, I
know, I said. The tears in his eyes moved me. I kissed him. Granted, it probably didn't feel like much to him, but I would be damned if I let anything take the chance to feel for him away. I turned and headed straight for the creature.
Do you really think you could defeat me, little Fae?
Yes, I said defiantly. I raised my hands and began to cast. Unlike the times before where I had performed a little incantation to produce a small amount of fairy dust, I let the swirling magic around me use me as a conduit. Magic has a will of its own. It craves balance. That's what my mother taught me. It is the teaching of the triple goddess, and so I let the magic do as it would. The feeling was like being embraced and torn apart at the same time. I closed my eyes, knowing my intent, and simply continued to breathe. I could hear the boy screaming, but behind my eyes, there was the dark, handsome figure of Death. He held out his hand to me.
I think a tango would be most appropriate,
he said. His smooth voice touched my nerves, and we took positions and danced around the recesses of my essence.
Why do you want to give up this time, Beatrix?
He held me close and started to lead. Night sky. The arms were wrapped in a soft fabric, dark, but not quite black. His face was as deep as the night sky, and his eyes were filled with fire. It almost hurt to touch him. But to dance with Death, there was pain involved. The first time, when Haggerty said the words, that was me giving up. You should know that by now. I followed, turning and matching him step for step. He dipped me and ran his hand slowly along my side.
You just said how you would let magic have its way with you. You've given up again.
As he brought me back up and we moved again around the floor, I thought about his statement. The floor itself was as real as I had known, but it glistened with the reflection of the universe. He whirled me about, but never once broke his contact with my body. Chest to chest, we started a sequence of fancy footwork. As we kicked and flicked our feet alternately, I answered him with my own question. Have you ever loved Death?
I have.
He twirled me around, then I slid to the floor. He reached down with his hand to cup my face, and I posed him the question. And if that love was ever in danger, would you give all of yourself to protect it? He pulled me to my feet. We stopped dancing then. I want to live for my love, but not at the cost of my love.
And what is it that you love?
At first, my mind drifted. Images of my friends and family appeared around us. They glided past and created a breeze that no science could ever explain. When the images ceased being people, Death looked at me in a puzzled manner. I explained, I love everything about this crazy world. The challenges that people put in front of me, the people who push me, the ones who care for me, all of them I love, and I would give anything to protect.
Well played.
He said, releasing me. He bowed and turned away from me.
Thank you for the dance.
I opened my eyes to see how the world was faring. My arms were heavy and my breath labored. Jack was no longer screaming. He was panting on the floor, flesh-colored and whole. Alina was over him, mopping the sweat off of his face. My wings felt heavy, or maybe that was the rest of my body that felt like a ton of bricks. Whatever it was, I had expended more energy than I thought possible. As gracefully as I could, I lowered myself to the ground. Everyone else was eyeing the boy on the ground, so no one saw me land right on my ass when I was about 2 inches off the ground. Then I could comfortably watch what was happening. Baltier took Jack's left and his hand on his sword. Alina was behind Jack, holding one shoulder and rubbing his back. Turek watched the centaur, his hands on his own throwing knives. I figured he was making sure the kid wouldn't get itchy for some bloodshed. Eric and Goblo were talking privately, still casting glances at the boy every so often. As I looked over them, I could just make out the lights of, I assumed, Vervain and Rickson. Everyone seemed to have it all under control, and I really wanted to take a nap. I was on the ground. The ground was a little cold, but I was still in my furs, and it wouldn't take long for my body to heat and warm them up. Yes, I was going to nap so hard that I wouldn't need to sleep until after the trial. I was just lying down, but then I remembered the trial is tomorrow. Everyone turned to look at me, but beyond that, the sound of my own voice was deafening. I pressed my fingers to my temples. I worked through the past few days. I had lost track of all time, and now I had to get back to the human realm and back to the courthouse by noon the next day.
What trial do you speak of, Stonebriar?
Asked Goblo. The trial of... I lowered my voice. I had to remember who was close by. The trial of John Haggerty Sr. for my attempted murder. I'm supposed to testify against him at noon tomorrow.
So, do we have additional options?
Eric asked.
I mean, you need to get there. What would be the fastest way for you to get back?
Do you have any speed candles?
Rickson asked, his attention now on us. He left Vervain, Turek, and the centaurs to look after the star-crossed lovers.
No,
said Goblo, shaking his head.
I'm afraid that even with Sparrow's blood, Stonebriar or the watch will not be fast enough in her condition.
What about all this? I asked. I can't just leave things here unfinished.
Let us focus on what you need first.
I couldn't focus, even if my friends and elders were all about helping me. There was something I felt that I was missing. It couldn't be that easy. Rickson shook me gently.
Focus, girl.
He whispered.
What do you need to do for tomorrow?
I need to get there. The fog was slowly starting to burn off inside my head, but it still felt thick. I looked down and saw that I was still dressed in my woodland furs. I need to get back to my apartment and get some clean clothes. I can't show up to court like this.
That's more time that we do not have,
said Eric. His eyes were darting back and forth as they tended to do when he was deep in thought. I remembered some time ago that when we were putting together the first few bills for ethical treatment of magics, he would look around the room either for inspiration or to help him focus on the thoughts in his head.
I can carry you, but it will get people talking,
he whispered in my ear. If the woodland groups do not know by now, then they're blind. I smiled and winked at him. He shook his head.
At the crime lab, don't they frown on involvement with those in government?
Let me worry about that. It might keep me off of a few cases, but we'll take it one step at a time. I reached up and let his hand fall to my level so that I could caress it. Rickson ran his finger through his blue hair. I hadn't noticed it was blue, but against the pink and deep rose colors of the wood, I was able to see it clearly now.
We do have a couple of spells that might clean the clothes you came in, if you're willing.
I coughed at the thought of Rickson washing my undergarments. As long as it isn't you cleaning them, I am okay with it. He smiled and blushed in return. We both had a little laugh before Goblo brought us back to the topic at hand with a slight cough. Oh, right. What else do I need? Well, I suppose I also need my notes from this case. It could be relevant.
No.
A weak cry came from behind us. Jack was still trying to gain his bearings, but he could hear us just fine.
Please, you cannot say anything about this. Not to my father and not in court. It would just make things worse.
But Jack, I started. The boy cut me off.
You said so yourself, Beatrix. This isn't the way to create change. It's the only way to force change and harbor resentment between races. I've already caused enough damage. I want to make it worse by wrecking the work that all of you have labored for over the past few years. Please, don't say anything about this case.
It may come out, not from me, but from others. The folk that patron the Bard's Rest do not only... The folk that patron the Bard's Rest do not only stay in the Elder Wood. Certainly Nodris doesn't, I said.
Who?
Jack asked.
Tree of the Dark.
Alina answered.
He's the one I brought the confusion oil and the runes from.
Jack nodded, and a scowl soured his face.
Don't even think about it, Jack. Tree is more than you can handle, and he will claim that he never knew what you were going to do with the information that was given.
Eric said.
If that gnome has decided to make a name for himself out in the human realm, he will certainly make a great lawyer.
I nodded my agreement. What you two need to do is make the most of the opportunity that you've been given. You are being allowed to live together. Perhaps you can become productive members of the Silverbark and get them to understand other races a little better through your work with them. It will be hard. After all, they're going to be punishing you for what you've done. The two sulked at the realization. But you two will be together. You should share the hardship and be grateful that you are able to live. Not only to live, but to be together.
You are right, Miss Stonebriar,
said Alina.
Thank you for giving us perspective.
Don't thank me. Eric was the one who saved you both. If anything, thank him and be done with it. Goblo knelt down to lift me up in his cold hands. They smelled like wet dog. I suppose it was true that what Turek said about them lacking smell if they lied.
Let's get you healed up for your journey, and I will see what I can find for you and Moodrunner to use to get you back to the human world post-haste.
Oh, there is one thing I did want to talk to you about, I said. as we started further into Troll's Hollow. Your people and the goblins made a lie detector for Turik. Do you think you could make one in fairy size? The troll smiled widely. The worn tusks were barely beneath his eyes.
Well, my sky-trending friend, that is something we can talk about. We were actually wondering if you could make use of such a device in the human world. As I understand it, trade is very valuable there. And we have an interest in opening negotiations with market outside the Elder Wood. Now then, would you like red, green, or blue for a color?
And that's it. That was awesome, guys. Yay! And no technical issues for the second time in a row. Yay!
Yay!
Don't jinx us.
Sorry, not right. Well, you know, at this point, we would recap, do kind of a post-mortem of this episode, and then I give you all a chance to say the links that we can find you at. So does anybody have anything they want to say about this episode? I know I wanted to ask Emilie, like, have you done a male voice before?
Not really. This is a new thing for me.
All right. So how did it feel, like, trying to get into it?
It was different. Hopefully I sounded okay. Hopefully I sounded like a male. I just kind of like lowered my head and tried to, like, I don't know, move the back of my throat in a different way, move my jaw in a different way.
So
Hopefully that came out.
It did come out as male. One of the things that I tend to do is when I'm doing a male voice is I tend to think about whether the person is aggressive or not, how like how I would imagine them making the mouth movements. For male voices, I tend to push a lot of the sound out a bit harder. So, you know, just kind of being a little bit more forceful. And it's just a subconscious thing I do. I'm more focused on like who the character is, whether they're kind of foppish, whether they're smooth, whether they're really angry. So, you know, these are all things that you experiment with until you get the right sound in your ears.
I had some former coworkers in my head that I wanted to emulate. However, I just couldn't like get that out.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Well, it's, you know, it's a learning experience. And that's one of the things that I think we've heard when people get new roles is that we're still trying to figure out who the character was and get a comfortable voice for them. And so I think that's just what you were experiencing. Morte, you really didn't get too much airtime the last time you were on. So how did you feel about this?
It was fun. I rather enjoyed doing both characters, in fact.
Yeah.
Well,
What'd
like,
you?
I guess 2.5 characters.
Yeah. What was there anything that was challenging for you?
Yeah, actually doing the entity was I found myself not entirely sure how to do it, and I was gonna kind of do it full blast, just, you know, full projection. But then I'm like, I've got neighbors and people are here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to startle them with a crazy, scary voice.
Well, you know, that's one of the things that's one of the fun parts of being a voice actor is that you have to go around and be like, hey, I'm going to be screaming. I'm not really having an altercation. It's kind of awkward, but it also gets you to meet people.
Yeah, and the folks in my house will understand.
Yeah.
But yes, next time, should the occasion rise again, I'll give everybody a heads up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, I rather enjoyed. I think Death was my favorite to do for obvious reasons.
Because of the name.
Yeah, I can relate.
Awesome.
I just enjoyed the romantic portrayal of him. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
I liked your interpretation of it.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Alan.
Very much love listening to that.
Oh, thank you. Now I'm just thinking, oh man, I got to get back. I got to go through the backlog of episodes so I can catch up with what's going on.
Well, I mean, you could put it on. So the wonderful thing about YouTube that I do with some other long form shows that I watch / listen to on YouTube is I put it in 1.25 or 1.5 speed.
Oh yeah, me too.
So if you want to make me sound like a chipmunk, try that.
To me, it just when I put it on those speeds, it just sounds like normal speed to me. I speak very quickly anyway, and New England and all that stuff. So.
Oh yeah, we talk fast up here.
Like, why isn't everything faster? So the fact that I can do that with my audiobooks just makes me so happy.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I'm going to go down the line and give everybody a chance to tell the audience where they can find your stuff, and we will start with Alan.
Hey, this is Alan Spencer, and you can find my stuff at Broken Sea Audio Productions. Go listen to Johnny Quest, which was done, oh my goodness, is it almost a decade ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, okay.
So, I had just gotten out of college, so yeah.
Yeah, really. So, go check out Johnny Quest, but we also have a new show that is being auditioned for that I wrote called The Thorn Chronicles. Please audition at Broken Sea Audio Productions and get those in really, really soon. And that's pretty much it for me.
Awesome. And Emilie, I understand Circus-13 is also having auditions.
Yes, we are. It is an original production created by my husband, Tim, and it's called Dragon Wolf. He's kind of a detective, samurai, supernatural type of being, and so we're finally putting that on audio. It has been out on comic for the past couple of years, so we're branching into that, and it is on our webpage, Circus13Productions.com. Thanks to all of our social media sites as well.
Awesome. And Maestro Morte, where can people find you online?
Shameless self-promotion. All right, so if you just look up Morte McAdaver, that is MORTE, M Cadaver, like dead McBody. That's one way you can find me. You can also look up Maestro Morte. I will have a website. I'm setting up a website now. It will hopefully be up and running sometime next month. But in any case, the project I'm currently promoting and doing the most with is Black Soul Seraphim. It's some funeral gothic doom stuff where I sing and play very melodic things on guitar.
It's actually really pretty to listen to.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I have moody days where all I want to listen to is angry death metal, and that makes me happy. Yeah. But when I want to listen to something a little more melodic, I go to Black Soul Seraphim. It makes me happy.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I should also mention that anybody looking up Black Soul Seraphim, the music is free. You may have it for free or name your price if you really insist on giving me dollars. But yes, I just want you to listen to it and spread it around. That's it.
Awesome. Speaking of spreading it around, this work is covered under a Creative Commons Attribution, non-commercial, no derivatives 4.0 international license, which means you can download it, you can share it, you can repost it, just don't change it. It's perfect the way it is, just like you. And make sure you link back to this YouTube page so that people can see the other stuff that I've done. And if you go ahead and click the subscribe button, I get really excited. I am the biggest fangirl of my fans. You guys have no idea. You meet me at a convention, and tell me that you know my stuff. I will hug you and probably cry a little bit because it excites me.
This is true. She actually does this.
It is true. And then I torture my dad when I introduce him to famous people. And be like, hey, remember that time when I introduced you to Nathan Lowell?
Ah!
Yeah, it was awesome. If you would like to find out more about Resonant Moon Audiobook Solutions, which is who sponsors this show, you can go to resonantmoon.com. I do audiobook QC, podcast QC, audiobook editing, podcast editing. I will be doing narration at some point in the future. I am just not doing it at the current time while I finish up a couple of projects. You can also engage with me on Twitter at LNicoleAudio. You can send me an email, lauranicoleaudio@gmail.com, if you want to be part of the cast. If you want to submit a short story, we're going to accept short stories starting for September. So short stories should be around 4 pages long, no more than that. And we have a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/cold reads. And if you want spoilers and want to find out how the story ends before this show is done, which, I mean, will be done probably before you get it in paperback, but whatever, give me money. You can get the book online in ebook and paperback. The link is in the show notes, along with all the links to my fantastically talented cast. So please check them out. Please check us out. Please subscribe. And now, as I do every time, say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
On three.
One, 2, 3.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
I think there's a delay. It's okay. But good night, everybody, and thank you so much for watching Cold Reads. We'll be back tomorrow.